Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Popcorn Perspective Podcast Edition. We are back with Jeremy, John, and me, of course. And today we're going to talk about some quite recent releases, including Mortal Kombat 2021, of course, a series called Invincible, which is Amazon original, did you say?
Yep, Amazon.
Amazon original. And Nobody, the John Wick kind of movie that came out recently. How are you doing, guys?
Doing
I'm
good.
great.
Yeah?
I'm
Are you
great, I'm
jazzed
great.
about these movies?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely love Nobody. That's one thing certain.
So, for who doesn't know, we are contributors of this website, the www.popcornperspective.com, of which Jeremy is the founder and supreme leader. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, so most of the films we talk about do have written reviews on the website, so we do invite you to read them. And also like our Facebook page. Oh, and since you're here, why don't you just slam that subscribe button and clickety-clack that like button and all that good stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Oh my god. So cringy to say that, but you know, it helps the algorithms, all right? So, in this episode, we're going to start out speaking about Mortal Kombat.
All right, just a
And,
quick one.
yeah.
Just a quick one, so everybody knows. I actually haven't seen Mortal Kombat, so I'll have very limited contribution for this part. But you guys go crazy.
So I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna kick it off. Just talk about it for a few minutes, and then maybe Jeremy can take over since he's the other person who saw it, and then
Okay.
probably John can chip in, and then we'll have a bit of a crossover, and then we'll move to the other topics. Okay. And by the way, there are time codes in the description and on the play bar, or whatever. What is it called? I don't know. Anyway, that thing where it will say the topics, and you can just click through them if you don't want to hear, I don't know, spoilers or whatever the hell you want to avoid. Or if you're just not interested in the topic, you can skip it. All right, so shall we kick it off, guys?
Yeah,
do
let's
it.
do it.
So, Mortal Kombat 2021, the latest adaptation of the very popular video game series Mortal Kombat, which started around the 90s, I think, or maybe even earlier, I'm not sure. Anyway,
90s.
it's one of the OG video games, you know, fighting games. And there was actually a movie adaptation and the sequel in the 90s. And you know what I found out? I don't know if you guys know, but that movie was actually PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know? I
I've
was
heard.
surprised. Like I mean, I haven't seen it for years, but I remember it being quite violent. But I guess it's PG-13. Maybe they just didn't have much blood or something.
James, I'm going to be kind of honest. Despite the fact I am a video game and I'm actually my specialty when it comes to video games is fighting games.
You are
I
a video
really-
game?
I'm a video game fanatic.
Okay.
That is
Just
a bit
clearing
of-
that up because you look like a real person. But anyway,
I-
you didn't know
I
that.
am, but in reality, I'm actually a Commodore. You know, in reality.
Yeah, I knew that. I just didn't want to embarrass you in camera. Anyway,
Okay.
so you didn't know it was PG-13. Well, luckily this one is R-rated, which is what Mortal Kombat needs. Because come on, PG-13 Mortal Kombat is not ideal, really, to be honest. I don't remember that movie. I might need to watch it again or not, because I remember it wasn't that good. And then there was the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which is known to be one of the worst movies ever made, right? I haven't actually seen it because I'm not really into watching, you know, so bad it's good or just flat out bad movies, to be honest. I think there's probably better ways to spend my time, even though that's easier said than done. So, this new movie is directed by a guy called Simon McQuoid. I don't know if that's a McQuaid typo, but I'm just going to go with McQuoid because IMDb says it's that.
No, it is. It's McCoy.
Yeah, and this is his first movie. He did like a short film before this, I think. Well, that's at least on his IMDb credits. And there's a writer. One of the writers is Greg Russo. There's a few writing credits. One of the writing credits, hold your horses, Wonder Woman 1984.
Me.
One of the
Oh, God.
writers was one of the people who wrote also Wonder Woman 1984. Or at least, you know, was it one of the credits, which is not really a good sign. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. This movie is quite bad. It is quite bad. I don't know, Jeremy, your full opinion, but in my humble opinion, it is bad. You know, and the thing is, okay, it is Mortal Kombat. It's a video game movie. You just want to see some blood, right? And there are something, like, it's not completely a throwaway. You know, there is much worse, many worse movies, not only video game movies, but just in general. There are way worse movies than this, way worse fight movies out there. But to be honest, it's like, script-wise at least, story-wise, it is probably one of the most cringiest experiences I've ever had in recent memory. The story is so bad. It's like, imagine going to like year 1 of film school and they give you a script writing template of the hero's journey, and you have to tick those boxes. Actually, even half of those boxes, because the actual hero's journey was a bit too complicated for these writers, apparently. So it's so bare bone, and it's just insultingly stupid, the story. Absolute nonsense. There's certain things about it where if you just sit down for half a second and think about it, you'll find out it's just absolute nonsense. It just doesn't make any sense. Actor-wise, no one really that I recognize, to be honest. Bad acting. Like, seriously, I think no one really stood out. I think the actor who plays Scorpion... Oh, sorry, I hit my microphone. The actor who plays Scorpion, which is one of the prominent characters here, is the only one I really recognize. Now, I don't know his name, but I'll probably put the picture on the screen and a name so you guys can know. And he was probably the best out of this film.
Is he the I'm not sure if he's the lead, but he was in the opening sequence?
Yes.
That's all I've seen.
Yes, actually, he is not the lead. He appears in 2 sequences. By the way, okay. This isn't gonna be completely spoiler free, because it's Mortal Kombat. I won't spoil like deaths and stuff, but we can kind of talk about the story because it's so bad. I don't think anyone, even a Mortal Kombat fan, doesn't really care about the story going into this. And in fact, I think that's probably the first thing that someone would probably tell me is, we're not in this for the story, right? We're in this for the fights. So, what are the fights like? Well, actually, some of them are pretty decent. Like, I really enjoyed the fight, which you could see in the trailer a lot, which is Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. That is, I think it's the final fight of the movie, if I'm not mistaken. And that was pretty cool, although it's not, like, extremely excellent, you know. The first opening sequence was good. I enjoyed that. You know, it got me kind of pumped, to be honest.
I'd only seen, I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think it's the first one. It's whatever HBO released.
Yeah. They released the scene, like the first 9 minutes or something.
Yeah, it ended right before the actual fight, though, I think. If there was a fight there. So I can't, that's
okay. That was kind of like the backstory sequence. And that was good. I mean, some of the editing was a bit weird, to be honest. Like the cutting during some, I was a bit, like thrown back by that. But overall, it worked. It wasn't amazing. But after that, oh my god, it was so cringy. And like, there's this main character who plays someone that's not even in the games. Like, out of the 500 characters they had, they're like, why don't we just make up a really boring character, not just a new character. Let's create one that's incredibly boring. And by the way, in this movie, like, people have like superpowers, right? Because in the game, like, some people have like poison or like blades like tearing out of their arms or whatever, right? And so apparently everyone who's like marked with this Mortal Kombat birthmark has some hidden power that gets unleashed at a certain point. Something that really made me laugh was when like it introduces the main character. He's like this MMA fighter, and he sucks actually. Like his ass gets kicked. But anyway, apart from that, he has this birthmark, which is basically the Mortal Kombat logo, like the dragon, you know? And it's so funny how, like, someone asks him, like, hey, what's that? And he's like, oh, it's just a birthmark, you know? And, I mean, I can understand if you have a birthmark that kind of looks like a dragon. You know, when you look at clouds and you're like, oh, I can see, like, a horse or something. You know, kind of see it, right? It's like, oh, that's funny. I can see it, too. It's literally the most detailed birthmark I've ever seen. It's better than any tattoo I've ever seen, almost. And he's completely not fazed by it at all. He's not like, why do I have a dragon on me? It's so detailed. That's weird,
it's
right?
It's just the birthmark.
Yeah, and he seems also kind of weirded out that the guy is even surprised by the birthmark, which is strange. Like if I saw someone with a birthmark like that, I'd be like, that's that's really weird. Like that you don't really see that. And the way the character responds is kind of like, wait, you never seen a birthmark before, bro? Like it's just a birthmark, dude, nothing special. So that was just strange, really weird. And then Sub-Zero shows up and starts throwing snowballs at everyone. And I'm like, why are people even running? Like, they're in the car, and, like, the snowballs are hitting the windows. And, of course, they're snowballs, so they're not breaking the windows or anything. And they're, like, as if someone's shooting at them with, like, a high-power, high-caliber machine gun.
He's actually throwing snowballs at them?
Well, he's kind of like, it's ice/snowballs. Like,
I say hail.
He does these like magical like hand movements and creates these snowballs, and I think it's ice or something. But when at the moment of impact, you can tell it's just like some guy off camera, some special effects guy just threw a snowball, and it just like on the windshield. Anyway, so that was weird, and then Kano shows up. Now Kano is known to be kind of the comic relief, and oh my god, he is. I'm still not sure if he's the best or the worst character of this movie.
He's
probably
he is the
both
best.
combined, because everyone else is the most blank slate I've ever seen. He's the best or worst. He is the most interesting part, definitely actor-wise, character-wise. Scorpion probably is a bit better, but you barely see him. And Kano is just one-liner after one-liner. Very stupid one-liners. I mean, kind of so bad they're good one-liners in a way. A couple of them made me laugh, to be honest. But it was so cringe. To be honest, this movie wasn't boring because it was so embarrassingly cringy and ridiculous that it kind of kept me entertained. But the whole way I was just like, I was feeling so bad for the people that put so much effort into it because I don't know. And another thing, which... It's not a spoiler, don't worry, but they talk about this Mortal Kombat tournament for the entire movie, and it's like the most sequel-baited thing ever, because it never happens. And you gotta be like, oh, I guess you gotta wait for the next movie. By the end of it, like building it up so much. So it's basically half a movie, because if you remember in the first movie, there was like, the first half was about training, and the second half was the tournament, if I remember correctly. And this one is just the training, basically. And then there's one final thing I want to mention before I move the word on to you, Jeremy. Another thing that really bothered me, kind of didn't make sense. It made me laugh. Was how the bad guys are like, we need to kill the good guys before they even get to the tournament, Because we can't, there's certain rules in the tournament, but like outside the tournament, everything is allowed. So let's like kill them before they join the tournament. And apparently the tournament is set up by gods of these realms. And I'm thinking, why can't the gods just close this loophole and make it a rule that you can't just kill people outside of the tournament while they're training? Like, how hard can it be? If you can not allow things to happen during the tournament season, why can't you just be like, hey guys, how about you just train fairly so the tournament is fair? Right? It's kind of like, didn't they just think about that? And they could fix like all the problems, which... The main problem is that the bad guys are trying to kill the good guys before the tournament is even open. Am I the only person who finds that strange?
You wouldn't have a movie then.
No, you would have a movie. You would have like the first movie. You would have training montages, and then you have an actual tournament, which is what Mortal Kombat is.
Oh, I know. Okay? I was joking. As in, you wouldn't have this movie. Like they would have had to work a little harder to think.
Oh, definitely. Just very quickly.
Again, they kind of resort to a tournament. In the end, sort of.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like an impromptu kind of tournament, because, yeah. But anyway, a short word about the action scenes. It is quite violent, sometimes fun. Some of the fights are a bit awkward, to be honest. Like, the editing is weird, and sometimes they just punch each other so much and nothing happens, but then in the final move, that's when their heads explode. Which is a bit weird. And then there's the... They try to, like, quote the movie a lot, right? The whole fatality and stuff, right? But like in the game, it works that when you beat someone up, like the announcer is like fatality or like finish him. But in the movie, it's like just the character just kills someone is like fatality, and I was just like, oh god, it's so cringy. Who would say that? Like you'd have to be like a psycho to like look at someone's dead body and be like, fatality.
Fatality.
Oh my god, it was pretty hilarious. I will watch this movie again. It is it's not, you know, if you're like, I don't care about the story, I just want to see people get killed, I just want to see my favorite characters doing this and that, you might enjoy it. Yeah, you'll get something out of it, I would say, but you know, there's a difference, I've said this before, between entertainment value and whether a movie is actually good. And this is one of those movies where it's not good, but you can have fun with it. You know, if you're a certain audience, you're a certain person that enjoys this kind of stuff and is looking forward to. But don't expect like this, revitalized, like how do you say? Because the movie in the 90s wasn't that good, and we have another movie over 20 years later which is still not good. So it's just it's the modern version of a bad movie, let's say. So it's kind of like, maybe the sequel will be better. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I'll pass the word to you, Jeremy, because you saw it. And if I have something to add, I'll just chip in at some point.
Okay, so after I've seen it. I'm not a fan exactly of Mortal Kombat. I've played the games. My first game being that really shitty Special Forces one, not even the proper Mortal Kombat games. But I have an idea of the stories and stuff like that go along. Scorpion and Sub-Zero, the two, the rivalry of the games. If they've appeared in the cartoons, they've appeared pretty much everywhere. Those two characters don't exactly make that much of an appearance when it comes to fighting each other. Something that it's sort of in the back end, sort of like, shoved way in the back as a plot to code, because they have to put in the main character and his really crappy, uninspiring family somehow. So most of the time, these characters are just put in the back end. I think Kano actually does impress me. There was something about him. He was like the most, as one would say, enthusiastic fellow of the bunch. I mean, okay, he got eye lasers as well, so I mean, who wouldn't? I don't really know, but when it comes to like stuff like the Arcana and all this shit, when it comes to all the magic and abilities, I wasn't too impressed with that plot line. And
that was another cringe thing I didn't mention, but go ahead.
It felt like something coming out of the X-Men.
It's like literally how Kano gets his powers is he just gets pissed off at a dinner table and then suddenly he has superpowers. Like, just let that sink in.
I think even Jax was
I know, John, you're trying not to laugh. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
I think Jax was presented kind of poorly because they gave him a really good introduction and then they just said, okay, you're on the back burner for the rest of the film. You're just there in bed. Or complaining over your weak little sticky arms. So then there's Jax, who makes a fantastic appearance at first. You think, oh, okay, he's doing a good job. Look at him, he appeared. He actually stands out among the crowd for the short while he's in. But then, after he loses his arms, it's not really much of a spoiler. I mean, his metallic arms are on every single piece of the box art. He's sort of out of commission for most of the film, and when he actually does make a reappearance, he is given these little twig arms until he actually unlocks his Arcana, which is his metallic arms. I kind of found that to be a bit upsetting because as a fan, you have all these storylines, but they're not really used. All that is used is this really crappy, stereotypical story about Ko Young, this I guess prodigy character who enters Mortal Kombat for the first time, and he's like, oh my god, look at all these characters, look at all this stuff that's going on. I'm supposed to represent the audience here, and there are other characters in the series that can actually do that, but everything is sort of just left up to him.
Yeah,
he's not even exciting.
Oh my god, yeah, I mean, he's like terrible. He's really like probably one of the worst performances I've seen. Now, honestly, it's bad. It's bad.
Honestly, I think the worst wasn't even him. It was the two more. It was actually Liu Kang and a guy with hat. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, well, I can't remember any of the names, man. It was just embarrassing.
Guy with hat.
Yeah, the guy with the sombrero. You know, there's like that sombrero joke that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the cheese cutter hat.
Yeah, when Kano tells him that he's gonna shove the sombrero up his ass and make him speak Spanish. That was the only good joke of the movie.
The highlight of the film.
Yeah. Just watch that scene and you're done. You don't need to watch the rest.
All right. I'll try to YouTube it.
However, I have to admit, the finishers here are actually quite good. They actually make great use of practical effects and CGI at the same time. There's some moments in which you can actually see when practical effects are being used, and obviously when the CGI is being used. But it's done quite smoothly, thankfully, for you to actually enjoy the film throughout. It does feel like the film had a bit of a budget as well added to it. You can tell, like, from the very enclosed rooms. There was only actually, I think, there was one particular fight scene where you can guess there was a freaking green screen behind them. And like,
a lot of green screen in this movie, to be honest.
There was one particular that I think it was a Jax fight. There was like this green screen right behind it. Speaking of which,
I know which one.
Yeah, it's supposed to like represent one of the arenas.
Yeah,
where he fought
I have something to say about that, by the way, which really disappointed me. It's like you have the spike pit, and you know, like it's like a classic fatality of the game where you like uppercut someone and they fall on the spikes, and it was that perfect arena, and it shows, like, the camera shows you clearly this spike pit, and these guys are on this like narrow bridge, like fighting like in the game, and you're like, yeah, someone's gonna fall in the spike pit, and nobody falls in the spike pit. And I was like so disappointed. I mean, that fatality, I'm not gonna say wins the battle, but the fatality was nice. But I'm like, if you're not gonna make someone fall in the spike pit, why do you have the spike pit? Are you just like, is it like another setup for the sequel? Is it like, is it more sequel bait? It's like, spike pit, but not in this one. You gotta watch the next one. Oh my god, that was bad.
And the worst part is both characters could have easily uppercutted each other into the spike pit.
Yeah, they should have both fallen in the spike pit.
Yeah.
I just wanted everyone to die in the movie, just to see as many deaths as possible.
Surprisingly
just
enough,
please, like, give us new characters in the new movie, in the next one. Please, like, wipe the slate clean. For
Make
the love
the next
of God.
film just Kano in the sombrero. And I'll be happy. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Give it to us, Warner Brothers.
Okay.
There's not really much I can talk about because you already covered quite a lot of the stuff. Sub-Zero is sort of left as the main villain, I guess.
Yeah, I think Sub-Zero was my favorite part of the movie, and Scorpion. Like, that fight was genuinely good, you know?
So Sub-Zero is sort of like relegated to a Terminator character.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I'm talking like compared to everything else in the film. Like, at least he was kind of interesting. And there's so many times where he could have easily killed someone and just didn't take the chance. You know, and it was like, like taunting or doing something else. And even like, who's that big guy with like 4 massive arms? That big.
I think it's Goro.
Goro, yeah. There's such a cliche where there's like in a lot of these movies, there's like a chance where the bad guy can like easily kill the protagonist, but instead of like slicing them in half, they decide to just throw them against the wall, which does nothing. And then the good guy gets back up again and stuff. And there's always like throwing against the wall. And that happens so much, it's just infuriating. Where like this Goro could literally grab the main character and make his head explode like a cherry tomato the moment he grabs him. But instead he decides to throw him against the wall. And then obviously the main character is going to get right back up. Because in movies, throwing against the wall equals no damage. It's just like, my back, and then you get up. Back to the yeah, that was bad. And talking about that, sorry, I'm not really gonna spoil what it is. I mean, unless you guys nobody cares. The superpower of the main character was the most disappointing thing ever. The Arcana, right? The Arcana. That's the name. I didn't remember the name, but like like. You have Kano who has the laser eye. You have Jax who has like the metal arms, and then you have what's the name of the main character, by the way? I don't even remember.
Ko Young.
Oh, Ko Young. Okay, Sure.
The most generic name you could think of for a character like that.
His Arcana is just like, I was just like, really? That's your Arcana? Like, oh my god. I would be embarrassed. I would not use my Arcana just because it's embarrassing if I were him.
At first, I actually thought his Arcana was quite cool, the way it actually started appearing.
Yeah, his suit is cool. But then his weapons, I'm like, dude,
But
the
does
hell
that
is
mean...
this? It's weird. Like, why? Why create a new character? You have so many good characters. Why create this new guy with such a boring power?
I wanted Johnny Cage. That was it.
Yeah,
that was all I wanted.
Well,
and his ball smacking abilities.
That is another sequel bait thing, which they just threw in at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, this is not a spoiler, again. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But the last shot of the film is literally a poster with Johnny Cage on it. It's like, hey guys, he'll be in the next one. And I'm like, you're trying so hard to make me care, and I don't.
Neither am I.
This movie's completely driven by the potential potential sequel.
It is extremely sequel baity. Just by the fact that it's called the Mortal Kombat, which is the name of the tournament, and there is no Mortal Kombat tournament in it.
They did try and make one.
That's like, imagine Inception, but the film is they don't go into any dreams. It's just like they're gonna do it in the sequel. Yeah, they're gonna go into dreams in the sequel, but in this
in the first one we get through the theory of Inception, and then practical.
Yeah, theory and then practice, guys.
The thing is, guys, can I just say one last thing before?
Yeah.
The thing is, one of the worst parts of it came from the villains. Mortal Kombat has quite a memorable cast, and I felt like the villains were just like cackling idiots. Particularly Melania, a woman with weird mouth thing.
Melania, God.
Melania.
Anyway.
She didn't even have that weird shark jaw mouth. Until the very end, you actually get to see it.
Yeah.
She had quite a lot of normal features. This was kind of, I guess, off-putting, if anything. You had some of these characters, they didn't do much. They were just there.
They're just like standing there, like throwing cringy one-liners, and then just like dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my last 2 cents.
Yeah, let's move on, I guess. Next topic, right?
Oh yeah.
So next topic is Invincible. I'm not sure what this show is about. Even it's like a superhero show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one episode in. So yes, let's keep this talk low on the spoilers. So, but yeah, Jeremy, you could probably take the floor on this one to see what you're all caught up, right?
Yeah. Yes. I have a sort of idea of Invincible.
Okay. So, and these ones, they're done, right? Because I know they were releasing an episode a week, right?
Yeah, they're done.
But it's done.
They're done.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, just my first impression of it was my brother was actually itching or pushing me to watch it, and I finally watched the first episode, and yeah, it's cool. And I think Jeremy, get into it. I'll let you get into it a bit and see how I can comment, because I think it was quite fascinating.
Okay, so the idea of Invincible starts off relatively family friendly.
Yes.
For the most part, particularly throughout most of episode 1, until it actually reveals its true colors. It's basically, imagine like a Justice League kind of world, a Marvel world, but where all the superheroes have been set. Everything has its positions. The main character, as I recall, is a Mark Grayson, who is basically taking up the role of the character Invincible. His father is like this almighty Omni-Man, played by J.K. Simmons. Secretly he probably has a basement with Spider-Man photos, and and honestly, it's a good series. It's a fantastic introduction. By the way, the series was made by Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, the Walking Dead guy.
Yeah, he made The Walking Dead.
Didn't The Walking Dead like turn to garbage after a few seasons?
This guy wrote the comics.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong. He did the original Walking Dead, and then yes. Yeah, I know I didn't finish The Walking Dead the series, but No,
Oh,
Invincible
you're not alone,
definitely.
man.
Actually, I think I've only watched a handful of episodes of The Walking Dead. Uh, Invincible, though, James, you might want to give it a go. It is an animated series, so I mean, if you have a problem getting into animated series,
It's not a problem.
look,
It's just I don't
look.
like by
No,
myself
I don't
get
mean
into
like you have
animation.
I don't mean you have a condition. I just mean like if you.
My eyes
I mean,
bleed
like,
when I watch animation. I can't do it, man. I'm sure it's great.
it definitely goes by the end of the episode from like I don't know what.
Family
I
friendly.
I wasn't gonna say 0 to 60, but it definitely goes from like it gets. I don't think it's much of a spoiler, Jeremy, because I think they released the actual they released this part online, but we won't say anything just in case. But yes, at the end of episode 1, it kind of that the series gets flipped on its ass. So
That's good.
Ooh,
It's
it's
interesting.
flipped everywhere.
But what kind of
Yes.
property is this? Sorry, I don't know if you guys mentioned it. This is like a DC Marvel. Is it its own thing?
no,
It's
no,
everything.
it's its own thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Thank God.
Image comics.
What
You
is
don't
it?
hear that
J-
often, huh?
Can you check, John?
Let me check. I mean, it's what's his? Yeah, it's the guy. He just did these comics, right?
Ah, just
so, I
like
mean,
this Kirkman dude, right?
Yeah. So if he had,
But what's the
Well,
what's the superpower of this guy, by the way? Is he just invincible?
no, he's basically okay. So imagine a race like Superman. Think of something like that.
Yeah.
Think of Kryptonians,
Yep.
but with the mentality of the Saiyans of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I can
Ima-
roughly imagine something like that.
Now imagine if your dad was Superman and you've just gained your powers.
Imagine my dad is Superman and I am just getting my powers. Okay.
Yeah,
Imagine
let's-
if
yeah.
your dad is
So it's
played
like,
by J.K. Simmons
Like,
and
okay.
has a mustache as well.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I like J.K. Simmons, but what I like more is J.K. Simmons with a mustache.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what sold it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Cancel all plans. I'm turning on Invincible.
wait, but you said it's animated, so you see like an animated version of J.K. Simmons, or is it like a voice
No,
over?
it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
it-
the voice. It's
Okay.
the voice.
just.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like.
All right, so this publication, the publication for the comics is, I don't think it's really relevant to, because Amazon kind of just bought it. It's an Amazon original at this point, so I mean,
All right.
unless Amazon gets in, yeah, there's no Marvel, no DC, no.
You don't hear
Um,
that often these days. Stuff is either
Yeah,
Marvel,
I know.
DC.
And Amazon kind of has their own superhero thing going on now, with these comic book adaptations, with The Boys. Now they have Invincible. But yeah, as far as I'm into it, it's yeah, like, so this guy, what's his name? Omni-Man, right?
Yeah,
He is like Superman, but from what I saw so far, he's not part of like the big group. Like there's that big group of superheroes, and then Omni-Man is. Yes, but then Omni-Man is kind of, he is the Superman, but he's not the front man of that group. He's just another superhero. And then his son is not, doesn't have his powers quite yet, and he's kind of thinking if he's ever going to get his powers, and then partway through the first episode, he starts developing his powers. And then his mom, I guess his mom's human, right? Like she's just she's human. Yeah. So I guess there was like that question in him that he's like, oh, am I ever going to get powers? Because, but
Am I ever
anyways,
gonna get my powers, Mom?
yeah.
It's more like, when am I gonna get my powers, Daddy? And it's like, one day,
When
son.
can I kill the bullies at school, Mom?
Yeah, there was a bully interaction at a high school.
There's always bully interactions in these origin
Yes.
superhero movies.
Yes, yeah, they didn't leave that part out.
Yeah.
Good thing.
It's like, hey, punk, what you doing there? Oh, give me your lunch money.
I don't
Now-
think I don't think we can get too deep into this because I'm quite.
I'm just speculating. It's fine.
Yeah, I just have. No, I mean, like when it comes to elaborating on this show, I mean, I have so much more to watch. Now that it's all released, I can binge it or watch it within a few days or within a week or something.
We could do like a spoiler review next episode.
Yes.
Sure,
But,
yeah. Yeah.
I'll try and keep this spoiler free then. So throughout, okay, the series is very bloody, and I mean very.
It's a bloody
Yes.
series.
I mean, this could have been Mortal Kombat on its own.
Oh, really?
That's how bloody it is. Ooh.
Yeah, but there's blood like during the fights, not just at the end for the fatality, right?
Oh, during the fight, guts flying
Okay.
everywhere, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so it's probably better than Mortal Kombat.
Uh, Most probably.
Well, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
So, and even as you from the first episode, the logo starts off clean, nice, and fresh with the Invincible sign, but then throughout every episode, suddenly you notice specks of blood appearing on it
Oh, that's cool.
until it basically turns completely red by the final episode.
God. Yeah, sounds interesting. You're selling it to me, man.
Yeah,
You work for
okay,
Amazon, bro?
correct. No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm just.
I don't know
I'm
if I
just here to
believe that.
pass on the goodwill.
Jeremy, did you forget to tell us something?
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Guys, hide the cameras.
Did I just hear Jeff Bezos off camera?
You've been recommending quite a few Amazon
It's
shows
true,
there,
man.
Jer.
Like
I
I've slowly
know,
been
I
getting
know.
into Amazon shows after meeting you, man. What's going on?
I think Amazon just acquired Nomad. Is it? No, sorry, that was Disney. Because on Disney Plus I saw Nomadland. I just thought that would have been funny because I recommended Nomadland last episode. And if that was or Amazon.
No, I found out it is Disney. Yeah, Nomadland.
Yeah, it's Disney. They just All right.
They're Starbucksing that shit.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right. Well, yes, Invincible, intriguing, good.
That sounds interesting. I haven't seen anything actually, trailers, but I've heard about it. Like,
Yeah, it's quite low
Yeah.
key from what I mean, if it wasn't for my brother, I don't think I would even, I mean, I would have found it scanning on Amazon, but I would have looked past it because I haven't
Yeah.
heard that much hype about it. I've heard things here and there, but it hasn't been promoted or advertised heavily.
I'm kind of impressed with the cast that's in it. There have quite a few people there that actually stand out. There's even Seth Rogen in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I got to his part yet. But, oh, is Seth on this call?
hey everybody. That's more like Goofy.
Yeah, you
Yes.
lost the. Yeah.
And also Steph.
Mark Hamill's in it too, apparently.
He is.
Yeah, he's on the. Let's check IMDb.
Alright,
I just
well, no, he is a top-notch voice actor, so
top notch.
top-notch.
Hey, Walton Goggins is in it. Nice.
Oh.
Jillian Jacobs. Zazie Beetz. Mark Hamill is Art Rosenbaum. He's in 3 episodes. Do you remember him, Jeremy?
No,
Clancy
I don't
Brown's
remember.
in it.
I don't remember. I think I don't remember him in this role. Let me.
Art. I'm not gonna look
Art.
anything up. His name's Art
Yeah.
Rosenbaum.
His name is Art. It's a cool name, man.
Yes. So like Arthur.
Like, hey,
Art.
hey, man, what's your name? Art.
I'm just trying to check because maybe I just recognize from the picture.
So you guys want to move to nobody, or is there?
Yeah, let Jer finish. Let me see. Let's see
Yeah,
if he.
like-
Yeah,
you can wrap up your points, and then we can move to the next subject.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't have much to say. It was good.
So it's a strong
and-
recommendation.
Yeah, and James, not
Oh,
that you
yes.
would do this, but
Yeah.
that last scene that turns everything around in the first episode is actually technically like a credit scene, or I wouldn't say post-credit scene, but from what I remember, you have to watch a bit of the credits before that scene even
Mhm.
comes up. It's like a 10-minute post or mid-credit scene. So I mean, if you're watching it, don't just shut it off the second you see, directed by.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those bits that really slaps you in the face. You will not be expecting it.
But that's
Yeah.
strange.
Really
If you have such an important scene, why would you risk people not seeing it? Or is it like
Well, like I
something
said,
that's... Oh, okay, go ahead.
It happens. It's not mid-credit. Like it's the credits come on. And
Yeah.
then they show a couple and then it moves into it. I mean, but then
Alright.
if you look at the episode's runtime, like when I went to pause it, I noticed there was still like 15 minutes left. I'm like, there's no way there's 15 minutes of credits in this. So then it finally came on. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I'll continue it. So
All right, yeah, I might pick
If
it
the-
up, actually.
There is one thing that actually feels. There's actually a sense of homeliness from the characters, especially between Omni-Man and his son, because it's like father teaching his boy some skills from at the very beginning. It's like, okay, you now have powers. I'm so proud of you, son. Learn how to fly. It's all these the things. There's a sense of. This is why I said it's like very family friendly at the very beginning. And then it starts like moving on. It starts you seeing like these really nice interactions.
So it's designed to ease kids into it and then shock them for life.
Yeah,
I
if
don't-
that was if
Yeah.
that was their goal, man, like I can see where you're coming from, James. It was a dark joke because
Oh yes.
and he's being like, like he's being all like paternal about it too, like a father would with his son in a bike, like teaching him how to ride a bike. He's like teaching him to fly and land and stuff like that. So I know what you mean, Jer.
Yeah.
Remember, Mark, it's like taking a pee. Just that's how you fly.
Jesus Christ.
All right, shall we move on to shall we close this off and move on to nobody?
Yes, I think it's best.
Okay, who wants to kick it off, guys?
Okay, well, I guess I will. I'll get into this
Yeah.
because
Yeah, Jeremy kicked off the Invincible, and so it's your turn.
yeah, so Nobody is a 2021 release. Yeah, so we've all seen Nobody. Now, this is a movie I was kind of anticipating because it was being at first, I think there was some or bad promotion on it. People were thinking it was the same director as the first John Wick. There was two in the first John Wick, and I believe some people were under the impression that it was one of those directors, but in reality, it's the writer of the first three John Wick movies, or first two, and then he was one of the writers on John Wick 3. And they went and made this movie called Nobody, which is quite good, I must say. What do you guys think?
I loved it.
I really liked it, to be honest. I was kind of expecting something to be a bit too familiar,
Yeah.
But it surprised me how they managed to change things up, especially because it's the same writer. Because you would think, like, why is the same writer writing the same movie again? And it's kind of is the same movie in some ways, but it isn't, But anyway, go ahead.
I know what you that's the weird thing with this film, and as I sit here now, I still don't know how they made this work because it was very similar to John Wick. It's very similar to a lot of, we'll say cliche run-of-the-mill action movies, but there was just something about this that got the job done properly. And as I'm watching it, I'm even thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm like, what's the difference between this and, just any of the 8 to 10, 20 Liam Neeson films that came out recently, right? And I don't know. I think the chemistry of the cast was quite unique too, because Bob Odenkirk, you don't really see him in these kind of roles. I don't think ever, if often for sure, but I don't think you've ever seen him in this kind of tough guy role, or we'll see tough guys open to interpretation, but. Yeah, there was some cool. I mean, Christopher Lloyd showed up. He was he's an old school guy, so it was good seeing him. And even RZA, if any of you listeners are rap fans, Wu-Tang Clan. RZA
I saw that really bad movie. What was it called? Man with the Iron Fists.
Yes.
Oh god.
Yeah. That was. I don't. That's a topic for.
That was one of those
for another time.
Yeah, I know it is. It's kind of like a B movie. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So. I don't. You can see they're going into with the hopes. I mean, if this movie is a successful financially, they'd definitely be going the trilogy route. You can see because Derek Kolstad, the writer, isn't going to be doing, from what I've heard as of now, isn't going to be writing the next handful of John Wick movies. I think they're planning 2. And he's off the writing team, so I can see this being his next project in terms of sequels.
Did he write John Wick 4?
No.
Okay.
4 and 5 he's not a part of. Or I think they got into it online, so if people want to find out why, they can check out some articles online, but I can see if this movie has some success, they're going to. I mean, the way it ends, you can tell they're opening it up for sequels and whatnot.
Yeah, there is definitely potential for that.
My one, I mean, if I had to mention a problem, and this is kind of a strange problem to have with it, and I don't know if you guys agree, like, I think the movie actually could have been longer. I thought, when it was done, I wasn't like, oh no, oh no, that was bad. They cut way too much out. Like, it wasn't like that. I just thought, I'm like, okay, this definitely could have had some. You know, when movies have too much filler and you just get pissed off of it.
Like, this too little.
this one could have had a little more filler in it. And this isn't necessarily a bad criticism. It's just I kind of wanted more of this story because it's quite a short film. It's like what, an hour and a half, and they could have I thought they could have put in a bit more stuff. I mean, whether that be doesn't have to be nothing
Yeah,
specific.
it's 1 hour and 32 minutes.
Yeah, so it's quite short. I thought. But maybe that was a good thing. Maybe they're testing the waters with this kind of testing the waters. Maybe they wanted to see how this would play out.
I think one thing I really liked was the pacing was really good. It had a lot of energy to it, like right from the start. Because it starts out with this whole oh, this guy is like nobody. He's just like a family man. He's like taking out the garbage, and there's this kind of montage of his daily life. And you expect
like ridiculously energetic.
Yeah, it is. It's showing you like these mundane things, and it really has this energy, and it's kind of like you can't really take your eyes off the screen, So maybe it is almost like a longer movie squeezed into an hour and a half. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of a good thing, especially today when the attention spans are so low. This is a movie that's really easy to watch, but good.
It's true too, right? And I think they really had to I mean they kind of had to make this movie they had to distinguish it a bit from John Wick, because John Wick didn't really have the intensity of the pace of this. Like at a certain point it hit that rhythm later on in the film, but this one, it starts like right off the bat, like you're in, things shit's going down. It's quite
yeah.
Even the way it turns, from right from the beginning, something. I mean, even without seeing the trailer, he's going to, this nobody, everyday Joe guy, he's going to turn
into... like, is he really nobody, No,
but it's coming, even...
Yeah.
But his turning point was fun. Like, it was good.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked his turning point. And it kind of happened in two phases.
Yeah.
It happened with him going to collect something. I'll try not to spoil anything, but you guys will know. So it starts with him going to collect something. So that's the honest guy coming out, like, all right, let's fucking get this done. And then there's that sequence on the bus afterwards, which is like, it's almost uncalled for. He kind of went out of his way.
Yeah, I loved how like he's trying to save the woman, and then like the fight gets so intense. At some point, the bad guys are like, tell the woman to run. Like, it's better if you get out of here because this guy's just crazy. It just like turns on its head.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, by the way. But
no. But it's like, that's, to me, that uncalled for moment really added to it. Okay, he's not just doing the right thing. Now he's doing something like, now this guy has a bunch of fucking pent up frustration and he just needs to vent.
Yeah. That was a really nice moment. Yeah.
This film. Sorry to cut you off there, but this film has a lot of expectations versus reality moments, if you know what I mean. It's sort of like you expect something to happen, for example, like with his father or something, and then like there are some scenes which just bounces off to a completely different direction you wouldn't even expect.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing about this movie, because like it feels somehow it has this presentation of being like an average action movie, which is kind of its selling point, and how it manages to be so subversive is the fact that it's it's called Nobody. It feels like it's another John Wick, but then when you actually watch it, a lot about it is like completely not what you expected, and there's so many little twists and original things in the writing and in the scenes, like what we just mentioned. I really like that about it. It was surprisingly good, let's say.
Yeah, and what worked well with this movie, because sometimes this doesn't work, is this movie this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's not specific, is this movie had a lot of winning. Okay, there's a lot of elements in it that were winning elements. Now, Jeremy, you mentioned about things not going into the direction in which you thought they were going to go. Now, a lot of those were positive. I remember there was there are actually a few moments, like I'm trying to think of like the ups and downs of this film, and they're quite... I don't know. I found there was a lot of, like winning moments, and it wasn't necessarily like, oh, okay, that's a cliche. Oh, okay, that's how he, whatever. That's how they did that. It wasn't like bad winning, but it was I think like once you watch these action movies, you start seeing the tropes, right? You start
Yeah.
seeing, okay, so now this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and then this one kind of said, okay, let's scratch those pieces out and just do what we want, and it worked.
Yeah, another thing I really liked that we didn't touch on was the fighting style. Because like a movie like John Wick has its like gunfu, so-called gunfu fighting style, where it's a mix between like a lot of different martial arts and him like capping people in the head left and right and center.
Yeah.
This one, it felt really like a messy fight style. You know, he gets his ass kicked a lot, but you know, he barely manages to make it, you know, out of it. I really like that because it adds more. No, I wouldn't say more because I don't want to put down John Wick, but talking about the differences between it, you know, he's so close to losing all the time that, you know, when he actually beats up, he defeats the guy or the guys, you know, it feels that much more rewarding.
It makes him seem like, you know, less of a superhero, like more of a more vulnerable, you know, physically.
Yeah,
where
and
it's like, okay.
yeah, especially the bus sequence, where you're just thinking like, man, like he's gonna get his ass kicked so much, and he does. But you know, who's seen it knows. I really like the messy fight scene, the fight style. I thought it was original in a way because you don't really see this. You know, it's either someone who's extremely good, but like, kind of hiding it, and then he explodes, like a bit like, you know, the Equalizer.
Yeah.
You know, that's another movie that's similar to this in a way, where it's like this like average guy who just has this normal job, and he's to himself, and then all of a sudden you find out like he's like a ridiculously skilled assassin kind of person.
What's that term? Crouching dumbass hidden dragon. There's actually a name for it. When the character's a bit of an idiot, you don't really expect much of them, and then they end up being an absolute badass by the end of it.
I mean, the thing that he comes off as an idiot is a bit, it's kind of his cover, yeah. But it's cool the way you discover more about the character. That's kind of one of the main drives of the film. Is just like, is he really a nobody? Like, what's his background like? Because like he doesn't fight that well, but then he has, you know, there are moments when he grabs a knife and he does like a crazy move, and you're like, you know, he must have learned that somewhere, you know. So these moments where you're like questioning like whether he's just someone who's lucky at fights, or does he actually have a past? And
he is like he is. I mean, with his fighting though, like I mean, it's quite difficult to be taking on quite a few guys though, right? So I mean, there was a bit of realism there, and plus, you know, he was rusty. Okay, you can say he was rusty because it's been a few years since he'd been kicking ass or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you start finding about what his past is, and you start piecing it together, and I mean,
I really enjoyed
understanding how screwed they were.
Yeah.
Because like in other movies, like let's say John Wick and Equalizer, it's more like after the first fight scene, you already know like their past. It's like, oh, okay, they established who they are, and then it's just about them kicking ass. But in this film, it was like slowly revealing bits and pieces about his past until like almost the very end, you actually find out who he is.
That was probably the biggest one of the biggest difference between John Wick and this is John Wick establishes who he is. So going into everything, you know, he's, you know.
Yeah.
What they call him, Baba Yaga.
Yeah, that scene is amazing though. Like it wouldn't have worked if they slowly revealed John Wick.
Yeah,
there had to be a scene like that where it's like completely turns it upside down. Like, no, this guy is an extreme badass, and it was a mistake to mess with him.
Yes. Yeah. So and then this one they do the other thing. They start out with this guy who's, well, actually they kind of tease it quite. They did it quite well with the
tattoo artist.
Okay, hold on. Even before that, with the I don't know if this is too bad of a spoiler, but you know, there's the home invasion, right? I think you can gather that from the trailer. And there's a moment in that home invasion where you see like, wait a minute, all right, there's something else behind this guy. And then yes, there's that tattoo artist scene, which kind of, you know, pushes it even further. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we all liked it because that was. I'm glad to hear you guys liked it too. I mean,
it's quite well received film. Like almost everyone that's seen it really likes it. And you know, another thing we didn't touch on, but the director is the same guy as Hardcore Henry. You know, that GoPro movie that came out in 2015.
Yeah.
Which is he's this young. I think he's Russian. Yeah, Russian. I'm just on IMDb here. You know, Hardcore Henry wasn't great. I mean, it was more like an experiment let's say. It was alright. It was fun. But this is really a step up, so I'm interested to see what he does next.
It's true, and you'd mentioned this was off podcast, James, but about kind of seeing this guy. I mean, I think he really got. What's his name? Do you have him? Him up on
Oh god, I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's Ilya Naishuller.
All right. Well, he did
Ilya.
a music video a while ago. Now I'm sure it's not his first thing, but I think it's one of the first things he got credited
Yeah.
for on IMDb.
Bad
He did that music
mother
video, and that was kind of I don't know if it actually was, but it's kind of looked as the proof of concept for Hardcore
No,
Henry.
definitely was, man. Like, just it's basically the same thing.
Well, I don't know. Like, for instance, I don't know if he made that video as a proof of concept. That's all I'm saying. But it's definitely the same thing. So it's kind of cool how this guy's went from, like, all right, let's do a GoPro video, like, to having the opportunity to do a feature-length GoPro video, to now he's filming or he's directing. I mean, I don't know if
Hollywood
it's a
movie,
big,
basically.
I was gonna say,
It
yeah,
is.
Hollywood.
It
I don't
is.
know how big budget it is, but a Hollywood movie.
We'll
with
find
Connie
out immediately what the
Nielsen.
budget is. Keep talking, but I'm looking it up.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's directing, Bob Odenkirk, he's directing Connie Nielsen, Christopher Lloyd was in it. Riz, like he's got some big names there. Like he's really graduated. So that's a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what he does next. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be if he's gonna be doing the sequel for this, if they will be doing a sequel for this.
They probably will. It's quite popular. I mean, it came out during COVID, right? So, and it was a VOD mostly. I think I had the limited release.
I think there were some theater releases, and yeah.
By the way, the budget was 16 million, so it is quite a
16?
low budget. Yeah, quite a low budget film.
They did quite a bit with 16.
And it made over 30 million, which usually the rule of thumb is if it makes more than double or at least double, that means it was a success, right? It was like profitable at least.
Well, I think they aim for 10 times. Is 10 times is
Jeez, yeah,
what
but
they
aim
want.
too high, man. It's like, we want 10x.
But I think that's for the big budget.
Yeah.
So like Avengers, they want to 10 times their money. That's a success. And you got to think about that. What was it? 36 million they made. Like that's pretty good for
32.
video on demand.
Yeah.
30 for video on demand and limited release in COVID.
That's just the
that's
gross.
not bad.
I think that's just the theater gross. I don't think they take into account the VOD profits because those aren't really released.
Yeah, it works
publicly or
differently.
anything.
Yeah,
so
it works differently.
nobody's really sure how much the VOD movies make.
So that isn't too bad.
Anyway, nobody strongly recommended.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It was fun. It was fun too. It wasn't just it wasn't one of it was fun. It was good. It was
I don't know. Any last words, guys?
I think I'm good for today, man. I think we got some.
I think we have
good
covered
points
all the
out.
topics. We can always talk again about these movies with some spoilers in the future if they come up.
Yeah, we'll give them some time to run their time. More people can see him, so then we're letting off more spoilers.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say thanks everyone for watching, listening. And we will be posting some other episodes soon, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed this, anything to say, guys? Anything to add?
Farewell, my fair popcornites.
Yeah. Remember to visit our website, by the way. Reviews coming.
Thanks for
I will
listening,
be.
guys,
I will
yes.
be actually. By the time this video came out, it'll probably already be there. But I'll be writing a review for Nobody, a bit more detailed.
Are you?
Are
Are
you?
you?
What's it come
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Unless you want to take over, John. I don't know. No, but I was gonna do it this weekend. So.
No, I need to. I might put out a review, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Anyway, that's an off podcast thing. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. All right.
See you later.
Ciao, ciao.